cannot start this video off, of course, without mentioning my three-sided mirror. This is what helped me braid my hair last time, and it truly is about what tools you are using to do your hair, especially if it makes life easier. This helps me a lot with parting. If you guys know me or if you've watched me before, you know that parting is a growing process for me. Tools like this just really help for me to be able to part straight, to be able to see everything behind me, and just make sure all of my hairstyles turn out remotely cute. If you haven't already, I would watch my hair box braid prep video. I filmed it right before this, and it's basically just showing you what I did to prep my hair and prepare to do the box braids. Like I said in the past, I did knotless, no, they weren't knotless. They were kind of like a crochet technique, and I liked how they turned out. It wasn't bad for my first time, but also I just felt like the parting could be neater, like I can do better. So this summer and every summer from here on out, I think I want to try to do knotless box braids on myself, and each year I hope to improve. In terms of parting, I watched a lot of different videos and techniques, and I just kind of went for it. I knew this time I wanted them to be knotless, which just means that I start the braid with my own hair and then I add hair in. I will say it is so intimidating, the adding hair in part, just because it's so many pieces. So for me, I ended up adding in 2 pieces to each braid. So I would start off with a thin piece of hair, and then as I would braid down, I would add in another piece and then finish out the braid. In terms of measurement, I just kind of eyeballed it. From what I've learned from watching other YouTube videos and from my own experience is that you want to make sure the piece isn't too thick or too thin. If it's too thick, it's going to turn out really bulky and it's not going to match your hair. The beginning of your hair is going to be the natural braid, so then you're going to add on hair and you want them to kind of match up. You want it to be seamless and look seamless. So I definitely had to start over a good couple of times on some braids just to make sure everything was cohesive. And I don't know if I mentioned the pack hair, but I will put it on the screen, the type of hair I used. And again, in terms of parting, I kind of just eyeballed it. I knew I wanted them to be small-ish. Like, I knew I wasn't doing medium braids, but they could be a lot smaller. My real concern was making sure everything was even. And I feel like that is the hardest thing for me to grasp, is just kind of figuring out the dimensions. I don't know. It's super easy for some people. For me, I'm like, So this took me, I would say, as a whole, 2 days. We'll say 3 if you add in the prep work I did. I also did take breaks in between, but this was 2 days of me braiding my hair. And I knew I wanted them long in terms of length, but you can definitely choose, you know, based on the pack hair. It'll tell you the different lengths and sizes. I knew I wanted them, I guess, booty length, but I wasn't sure if I wanted them longer than that. But then I was like, I thought about my poor little wrist, and I was like, I think not. How about not? No. But I ended up really liking this length. I think it's just enough, not too little, not too much. You ask me what the most difficult part of it is I would say adding in the hair. It's really hard to continue the braid, add in hair, make sure that it looks cohesive, and then keep braiding all the way down. I felt like, again, I had to start over a lot of braids because it would look lumpy or just not uniform. So definitely, that's why I say, like, map out a good 2 to 3 days, especially if you're a beginner. I would say give yourself enough time to make those mistakes, to start over. If you're doing it rushed, I feel like you're just gonna be overwhelmed and frustrated, and it really is a patience game, especially when you're doing braids on yourself. I think that doing braids on other people is a little bit easier, especially with parting, but when you're doing braids on yourself, it's just, you're navigating open water. So I would say just, again, take your time, figure out what you want to do. When it came to the top of my head, so I kind of just went in rows going up my head. When I got to the top, I realized, you know, you can't keep curving it. I hope that makes sense. But the other one, I was able to curve it around, so I kind of made a U shape and then did each row of braids. Once I got to the top, I just did a split down the middle, and then on each side, I kind of just measured it out. I wasn't sure, and it's gonna be different for each girl. You gotta know your hair. But my braids towards the front, I wanted to make sure they were thick enough. My hair is like, I feel like my the front of my head is very, I don't want to say sensitive. Why do I want to say sensitive? Thin. It's thinner towards the front than it is in the back. So I wanted to make sure that those braids, like, I didn't want any braids hanging on by a thread, okay? I wanted to make sure when I take these out, same thing as when I go get it done at a salon, I want them to be safe to take out. I don't want to lose too much hair. And so these ones in the front, I made it a point to just make sure they have enough hair in them. I think in the past I would take, because if the parting lines up a certain way, you really do just want to, you know, keep up with the parting and make sure that each part matches. If you ever get to the point where I guess you get to the end of the hair and you feel like it's not enough hair, I would say stop what you were doing. Think about the consequences, okay? Yes, you could use that little piece of hair and it would look cohesive and cute for maybe a week, but as time goes, your hair is going to grow and the weight of that hair is going to be pulling on your edges. And the number one thing you don't want to ever do is end up losing hair over a style you're going to wear for maybe a month or two. Like, it's never that serious. And then once I got to the end of each braid, and this is going to be up to the individual, but I did not braid all the way down because I knew I was going to dip the hair in hot water. And I love how it looks when there's still a little bit of hair left out. I used to do that style all the time when I was younger, so I think it's so cute. But yeah, you could either braid all the way down, and you can still dip it in hot water then. It'll still have the same effect, but it's just a different look based on your preference. But yeah, so I braided pretty much about all the way down. I left about a quarter, you know, not a lot at the end. And then I boiled my water. I dipped my hair. Be very, very careful. I don't think I've ever, knock on wood, but I don't think I've ever burnt myself, or I don't think I've ever had a hairstylist burn me. Like, it's just never happened, and I think that's because we all know the pain of that, so we're extra careful. I'm just taking a towel, and then I am pulling it down as I pull it out of the water. The hair is naturally gonna clump up, just depending on what hair you're using, so it is helpful to very carefully, again, take that towel and just pull it down so it really is like straight and stretched and glowy and glossy and looks amazing. And then I want to show you a little side by side. So, you know, we can see on one side it's a lot fluffier, and then on the other side it just gives it that sleek, done look, which this is my favorite part because, you know, before that you're like, dang, this is a lot of hair. And then after you do that, you're like, ah, this is perfect. We love. And then lastly, again, more little frivolous things that I feel like give the hair the official done look. So I am putting down my baby hairs with some edge control, and I didn't necessarily purposely leave hair out, but that's just the hair that I had left out. I was like, whatever I have left out, I'll put it down with some edge control. Sometimes I will go out of my way to pull hair out. I've seen other girls do that as well, so it really, again, is just up to what look you're going for. But this is our final look. I was shook. You know, I wasn't sure what to expect, but I think this is such a huge improvement from last year. I love, my favorite part is seeing the parts. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I did these parts. I did them. I definitely think I could have done them a little bit more even. Obviously, after each time, I want to like go in and assess what I did wrong and what I could have done better. So for next time, I definitely think I can and will go for smaller parts. Just smaller, more even parts. I feel like instead of little squares, they kind of turned out more rectangular. But again, I was very proud of myself. I think they turned out so cute. That's gonna be it for today's video. I hope you guys liked it. Let me know what you think about the braids. I'm gonna have all of the details about the hair used and all of that down below. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.